size. It's mostly every team. It's like, as far as Dunbar, they had a lot of big men. Southern, they had a lot of people that can jump real high and big men. And it was like I was the lone big man that had a forward, but, you know, he got in foul trouble a lot. So now that I got other players like Dante Webb, Richard Harris, and, you know, I got other forwards that can play the game like Frank, I think we have the experience and everybody's in there and willing to contribute and get the job done.
We're going to go out. We're going to play hard. I feel as though we got a better team this year. You know, better team than these other teams, like Southern and Dunbar, all these top schools. I feel as though we're going to be one of the top schools this year.
Payback could be tough if their superstar does not get help. Trayvon Broadway is one of the best forwards in the area. Broadway averaged 15 points and 7 rebounds last season. This year, if Walbrook is to get back to their winning ways, Broadway may have to improve on those numbers.
Oh, he's a good player, all-around player. He can do everything. He's good.
Trayvon is basically an all-around player. That's our go-to man. We look for him to score, rebound, assist. Trayvon is just an all-around player. When we need a point in the clutch, that's our go-to man.
Trayvon's probably our money player. You know, I guess every team has a player that when the game's on the line, you would want the ball in his hand, and he's that player for us. This year's group here has been playing real well together as a group, and the thing that we feel like he's going to have to do, pick up the loose ends on whatever needs to be done. If we need the big rebound, or if he has to help bring the ball up the court, and if he has to take the game-winning shot. So, you know, he's just got to be consistent and all around. And I think if he can do that, along with giving us some leadership, that, you know, it'll motivate the other guys to go out and do the best that they can do.
Help for Broadway should come from point guard Marvin Matthews. Matthews, who has been a backup for most of his career, has made vast improvements. The kid is a hard worker and is ready to take over the Warriors offense.
Marvin's out dynamite. You know, Marvin makes everybody go. He plays with a lot of intensity, generates a lot of energy, and that's good for the team. You know, I'd rather have guys going all out than guys that's not giving at all.
Marvin Matthews is more than ready to take over. I think Marvin could have started last year with Tony, could have alternated starting spots. I think he's more disciplined this year, and he knows what to do, like as far as coming, calling plays, calling the picks out, you know, setting up plays. I think this year he will control the floor and give us a set offense and lead the team on defense as far as steals.
I think he's ready. As far as physically, you know, physically he's ready, and mentally he's ready this year. You know, he's small, but he's a strong player. He has a strong heart.
I feel as though I'm ready. I'm in shape. I work hard every day. I'm captain of the team. I just feel as though by me taking that role as a point guard now, get my team involved with it, and stay focused, I think I'm ready for it this year.
On the perimeter, Walbrook has one of the best three-point shooters in Baltimore. Anton Jennifer averaged 12 points and 3 assists last season. In-your-face defense against Jennifer is a must.
Anton, he's a silky player. He's one of them players, if you give him an inch, he's just going to take it. He's going to let it fly from anywhere. You got to play him, then he got good defense. The defense is very excellent. He's an all-around player, too. He can play any position as far as the 1 and 2 and the 3.
Oh, he can shoot. I don't think nobody can stop him either. Even if you put a hand in his face, he's still going to hit it on you. So you just can't stop him.
You know, he's our two guard, and sometimes he handles the point for us. He's probably one of the toughest defensive guards that we've had. He really contributes because he's, like I said, our two guard, and he shoots the threes for us, and that kind of pulls defenses out. And he's got to have a real good year for us to be successful.
On the inside, Walbrook has arguably the city's most improved player. Last season, Chris Reynolds averaged 10 points and 8 rebounds. Reynolds will have to come to play every night for Walbrook to be competitive.
Chris Reynolds, last year was his first year playing with us, and I guess this year he seems to be a lot more comfortable. He seems to have gotten better, and, you know, he's got to play real tough inside for us.
I plan to contribute in all 5 categories as far as points, rebounds, steals, assists, and block shots. I plan on controlling everything that's in the red, under the boards, and making sure that the other opposing center don't get no points.
From Walbrook High School, I'm Jefferson Slade, High School Sports Beat. Derek, when the season first started, Walbrook lost to Dunbar and lost to him, Dunbar beat him pretty convincingly. And people were saying, oh, well, maybe Walbrook hasn't, come back to their old form. And then in the function in the Junction Mixer, they pulled off the big win against Dunbar of D.C., which is ranked number 2 behind Who was that in D.C.? Was number one?
Ranked number 2 behind the Math Catholic, which is number 1 in the country by USA Today. It was a great win for Gus Harrington's program. Last year they did win 10-11, which was Harrington's first losing season in 15 years as coach. That's even on the varsity and the JV level. So this team has something to prove. Look at their backcourt. Antoine Jennifer, Marvin Matthews, again, senior experience. In the front court, you got a guy like Chris Reynolds, who's been very steady, 6'7", senior center. And, of course, one of the best players in the city in Trayvon Broadway. It's a very solid nucleus of talent that Gus Harrington has. This team will be back in the thick of things in the 4A, and again will challenge what will be a great race in the 4A league with Lake Clifton and Southern.
Okay, I think Walbrook is back. Now let's talk about Northern. Last year they had a 10-11 record. Looks like Coach Holmes may be, ready to make the, shift in gears and turn his program around.
Yeah, he has a very good player in William Jernigan, a 6'2" shooting guard who just put some great games together last year. He had a 40-point game against Carver during holiday tournament. Again, in this 2A, 3A league, it's not a matter of who's finished first, because first is already designated to Dunbar. Who finishes second is going to be a challenge, and Northern should be in that pack with Poly and Douglas.
Okay, last season Merville struggled, had a tough year, 1-19 record. Last year, Coach John Blake was the head coach. 2 years ago, Woody Williams was the coach. He's back this year and trying to make a difference over at Merville.
Yeah, Woody Williams definitely will have a rebuilding program at Merville. He has a good player in Duncan Anderson, but pretty much he has a young team. Every game will be a learning experience. They'll win more than one game this year, but as far as playoffs or anything, that's kind of a long way away.
Okay, now let's talk about the surprise of Baltimore last year. Southwestern went 19-5, pulling off the big upset against Southern, who was ranked number 2 in the nation and number 1 in the area at the time. Here's a look at Coach Terry Leverette's Southwestern Sabres. Last season, Southwestern surprised all of Baltimore, going 19-5 and making a serious run at a state championship. But that was last season. This year, the Sabres will have to make up for 41 points per game, lost by the graduation of superstars Haywood Edey and Donnie Joy. But the Sabres feel they have enough talent to be a threat to all that invade their territory. For the past 4 seasons, All-Metro point guard Haywood Edey, who is now at Allegheny Community College, ran the show for Southwestern. This year, Coach Leverette says junior point guard Reginald Johnson has and always has had the talent to run the Sabres offense.
He was ready last year. It was just Haywood was there. Haywood was a pretty good guard. He's doing well at Allegheny, so Reggie was more or less waiting his turn. He's a junior now, and it's his house.
Reggie, very talented. He can shoot, dribble, pass. We want to put the ball in his hand, let him go to work, and I think he'll do a very good job.
Well, I think I'm ready to handle it. People think I'm a little younger than anything, but I feel as though I'm ready to take over that spot.
Southwestern's most experienced player is 6'6" forward Ernie Evans. Evans averaged 15 points and 7 boards last season. He can handle the ball, he can penetrate, and he's a 3-point shooting machine. This kid can straight up play.
I would say Ernie is the key right there. That's probably would be our go-to man most of the time. And the boy is a player, from what I see.
Ernie, I think he contributes shooting. He's a real good shooter from in and out. He can take you on the dribble. The volume, when you look at him, you don't think he's strong, but he's a real strong player, real competitor.
Try to do anything that I had to take to win. I tried that last year, but it beat was, doing anything. Try to take anything in his hand, but I think this year as a team, we all going to, put our heads together, try to have a, good year.
Who can forget the biggest upset in the history of high school basketball in Baltimore? That shot shocked the Southern Bulldogs and turned Aaron Jolly into a totally different player.
Aaron can always shoot. Aaron, the rap on Aaron, the rap that I have on Aaron, he doesn't play defense. He's that tense as I would like for him to do. But he can shoot with anybody. And what happened was after he made that shot, he realized that he could shoot with anybody. He's a scorer. He's lefty, so it makes it double tough on the defense.
After he hit that shot against Southern, he knew it was a big shot. And it meant like I said, it meant a lot to Southwestern. But after he hit that shot and went in, he believed that he can he played with much confidence. He believed that anywhere else he can shoot, he can make. You know, and he started playing with a lot of heart. And, you know, playing a lot of defense and everything.
Once I made that shot, I feel, you know, I am a part of this team, and I can, you know, do things that other people can do. So I felt, though, well, one day my cousin told me I'm not shooting enough. So I said, after we beat Sun, I just decided, well, I'm gonna shoot more, you know, try a little harder and see what would happen, you know. I shot a little more. I was doing better. I feel, though, I fit in with this team, so that's when I kept shooting and getting rebounds or whatever for the coach. You know, he was feeling better, but he still wasn't getting where he wanted to be at.
Southwestern High School sits high atop Fonthill Avenue, and for a while last season, its basketball team sat high atop of the top 20 rankings. After pulling off the big upset against Southern, which was ranked #2 in the nation at the time and #1 in the area, Southwestern started to lose. But this year, the Sabres talk about being a more consistent team.
This year, our goal is to go out and get a championship, so I don't think we're going to slip this year. We slipped last year, got the #1, and then we fell. But this year, we got to stay focused. Coach Levac keep telling us to stay focused and take one game at a time. That's what we plan to do.
The Sabres' strength on the inside will come from 6'2" center Stanley Parker.
Because, you know, I've been working out, you know, all summer long. I've been working on my game. You know, I've been going hard in practice, so I've been ready to contribute all I can this year.
Southwestern will also look to 6'2" guard Dante Lloyd, who is the cousin of former Dunbar star Michael Lloyd, who is making a name for himself at Syracuse.
All right, Dante gives us intensity. You know, he plays pretty good defense. He can score and he can rebound. So he's going to help us a lot in that 3 position. Or I can move him to 2. He can shoot the 3 too.
I think I help out a lot because, I mean, really, all of us play as a team. I mean, it's like anybody can step up.
Southwestern, who is known as a 3-point shooting team, has a secret weapon in Andre Jones.
Well, Andre, through practice, through the first couple of weeks of practice, he's been making the shot. He's playing with more confidence. You know, I think maybe last year he didn't have the confidence he should have. I put him in that game, the championship game out at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, in hopes that he would just go bunkers and just I told him he had the green light, he could just shoot and shoot and shoot. And I didn't really expect him to bring us back. But this year, he knows that I have confidence in him. Maybe he'll start to shoot the ball.
Well, Coach Levac keeps stressing to me, you know, just shoot the ball. So this year I plan to, you know, stand out on the 3-point line and just shoot.
From Southwestern High School, I'm Jefferson Slade, High School Sports Beat. Southwestern lost a lot in All-Metro point guard Haywood Edie and Donnie Joy, but this team has a lot of talent.
You'll most definitely look at what they have coming back. Reginald Johnson, who will move into Edie's spot as starting point guard. Ernie Evans, who is just flat out probably the best shooter in Baltimore City. I mean, he just lit up Walbrook over the weekend. And then they also have some young talent, Dante Lloyd, who's a cousin of Michael Lloyd. And I was telling you at the game on Friday, it's just... Here's Michael Lloyd. It's like Michael Lloyd reborn, except he's just a little younger in the face, but he's another Michael Lloyd. He can hit the outside shot. He has great moves to the basket. Southwestern again will be a contender. They did lose to Dunbar DC, which was a tough loss, but as far as the 4A league is concerned in the city, there will be a contender.
Okay, Dirk. Edmonton had an 11-10 record last year, but they're a team that showed flashes last year of being a good team. They almost pulled off the upset against Southwestern last year. Talk about Coach James' Redskins, and now Pete Pompey is a member of that coaching staff.
That's right, and 4 stars will be back for James, and also Pete Pompey will be helping them a lot this year. Guys like James Sumter, Lamont Branch, Derek Gillespie's also back. They're going to be a good team. They could be I kind of project them as my dark horse in the 4A league. They did lose to St. Francis at the function at the Junction, and then came back and beat Largo the next night. I think they're going to pull up an upset in the 4A against one of the big 3, which is Walbrook, Southern, or Lake. I don't know which one, but I think they're going to win a game against one of those 2 and kind of shock people. As the season goes on, this team is going to get better, and of course with James, who's built a very successful program at Edmondson, and of course having Pete Pompey won national championship at Dunbar and ran one of the best programs in the country, this team's going to improve. This team could be dangerous.
Okay, talk about Forest Park. 2-18 last year. A real tough year for the Foresters.
Yeah, tough year for Coach Cornell Reeves. He does have 5 regulars back from last year's team. Again, this is more so of a rebuilding year. Again, 2-18. No state championships this year for Forest Park, but again, gradual improvement.
Okay, now let's talk about the Southern Bulldogs. Last year, they should have no doubt won the national title. They didn't. Southwestern spoiled that. This year they lose all of their superstars, but they have some outstanding players back. Here's a look at Coach Meredith Smith's Southern Bulldogs.
The faces have changed for Southern as it prepares to defend its state 4A championship. The Bulldogs lost their top 6 players to graduation, including the Metro Area's Player of the Year, Kevin Simpson, and All-Metro guard Damon Cason, leaving Coach Meredith Smith with a big void to fill.
We still have a lot of talent. We have very talented young men. However, we don't have the same experience. I think that in terms of talent, we're right there.
I don't even think the coach really realized the kind of team we had last year. You know, we had 6 seniors. Any of them could have went anywhere, you know, in Division I and could have had, you know, a good year this year, but due to grades, they didn't do so well. So that's something we're trying to get the youth to dwell on, you know. And we had, you know, Damon Cason, Kevin Simpson. I think probably the best backcourt in the nation last year. And I'm sure a lot of people, you know, in Baltimore or nationally would agree with that.
Like last year's team was like, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better starting 5 than, you know, the guys we had, you know. And really, you never get a chance to, you know, to really thank them for, you know, all the things that they, you know, that I learned from them, you know, and other guys, you know. But this year's team, I think we, you know, we all juniors, you know, and we just trying to take it one step at a time. You know, it's gonna be a hard road. We got a tough schedule this year, you know, but I think we can stand up to it, you know, and you know, everybody might think that just because that unit is gone, that, you know, Southern might be down low in the rankings, but we like the rank we in so we can surprise people.
Marlon Wise and John Hensley, who each had considerable playing time last season, will be playing crucial roles for Southern this season. Wise will be looked upon to run the Southern offense, and Hensley to provide most of the scoring.
I think I bring a lot of experience from last year, just playing with all those guys. I bring a lot of experience to the floor. You know, instead of last year me being so frustrated because I wasn't getting the amount of playing time that I wanted. This year, you know, I'm in the leading role. You know, I think I have to play up to my potential. You know, I never try to go overboard. You know, but I do what I have to do so we can get the W.
Johnny Hemsley is a tremendous athlete, as good as any athlete in town, I think, and you know, he works hard and he comes out prepared, and he gives us a great athlete and ball player. I don't think there's any athletes in town any more athletic than Johnny Hemsley is.
The main thing I bring to this team, I think, is probably experience, you know, and just trying to keep the morale on the team. You know, when I went out there earlier, in this game here, we just played, I turned it over a couple times. And I was kind of down, but if they see me down, I think, then, you know, everybody else will play down. So, you know, I just had to get everything back together, pull everybody together, let them know that it was my fault, you know, and I'm going to get it back. You know, and then after that, we went on from there.
Marlon Wise is a veteran. He does have experience. Marlon Wise has been a 2-year varsity player, and he was understudy to some really good ball players, competed against them every day, and I think he brings that experience, plus he brings a big heart to the game.
Joining Wise in the backcourt will be senior Shantae Barnes, who saw a lot of playing time 2 seasons ago. After spending last season watching arguably the best backcourt in the nation in Cason and Simpson, he'll be looked upon to help stabilize it this season.
Well, I just try to bring a little leadership, try to help with the offense a little better, because we ain't got a lot of, we got a young team that's coming for this year team.
Shantae Barnes, we saw him out there today. I mean, he played a terrific game.
Oh, he's real good. He's short, but he's very strong. You know, he take it right to the hole, and that's the thing I like about him, because no matter how big the defensive man is, he goes straight up and over.
In the front court, Hensley is the most experienced performer, but the Bulldogs have an abundance of talent. In Coffee Pointer, Brian Kennedy, and Dietrich Galloway, who was at Dunbar last season.
When I get in, you know, I can handle the ball. You know, I got some nice size to me. I get rebounds, get a ball up, I can shoot. You know, I feel as though I'm an all-around player and it'll be good in the upcoming years.
Dietrich Galloway is also a tremendous player. I I really can't say enough about him. He's just an excellent basketball player. He brings a lot of things to the game in terms of athletic ability, in terms of knowledge of the game. And like Marlon, he's another one who has a tremendous heart. That means so much in this game.
Only a loss to Southwestern stopped the Bulldogs from claiming the national championship last year. There was no doubt that Southern was the best team in the city and the state. This season will be much different for the Bulldogs and Smith.
Last year, we had a lot of mature people on the team that knew what knew their roles, you know, and knew what they was doing. So he didn't have to stress it that much. But this year, I think if we just help him with his coaching, I mean, I think everything will be fine.
Derek, I have to be honest. A lot of people, including myself, thought that Southern would struggle a lot this year. But they look to be okay. I mean, against Dunbar, they almost pulled off the big upset in the Field Funding Classic.
Oh, yeah, they did. They played a great game against Dunbar. They slowed the tempo down. They made a lot of good shots and had a lot of good looks at the basket. This team will improve as the year goes on. I think around March, there will be a very tough team to beat. You look at this team, you have great leadership in Marlon Wise, Jonathan Hensley. The key for Southern, though, is the maturity of that front court. If their front court can come on strong with kids like Coffee Pointer, they also have a kid from Dunbar, Dietrich Galloway. These guys can, every game this team will improve. And then by the time we get into February and get into March, Southern will be again ready to make a run. They could, yes, win a third state championship.
Okay, now let's talk about Carver. They had a 500 record last year, 10-10. I picked them as my dark horse team last year. They didn't, turn out to be really all that good. But talk about Carver this year.
They really have two good front court players. Jason Johnson and Gerald Ragler. Also, they have a killer from the JV, Nate Wingo, who is one of the best JV players in the city last year. Other than that, they really don't have much. So, if they can finish above 500, I think it will be a very, very good season. They could qualify for the playoffs.
Okay, Poly, which is known as a football school, they had a 17-6 record last year in basketball. People overlook that basketball program, but they have talent over there at Poly as far as basketball is concerned.
Most definitely. I have Martin Prosper, who was a football star for the football star for Poly. They've quietly just continued to win over the years. And again, they did lose to Douglas in the regional finals. They won that game. They're in the state final 4. And I mean, people realize that. Everybody, remember that it was Douglas who did all this. But remember, it was Poly who lost to Douglas. So Poly could have been easily at Cole Fieldhouse. Again, Poly will be a contender in the 2A, 3A league and should qualify for the state 3A playoffs.
Okay, Derek. A lot of people talk about last year Southern should have won a national title. Well, Dunbar actually also had a chance to win the national title. Last-second shots killed Dunbar. But here's a look at this year's Dunbar Poets.
Though the Poets look like they're ready for a spot on General Hospital, they're far from being out. Bumps and bruises aside, Dunbar is again one of the elite teams in the area, despite not being nationally ranked for the first time in 5 seasons. An imposing front line with players like Keith Booth, Norman Nolan, Rodney Elliott, and Alexander Mobley have helped the Poets continue its dominance over the past 3 seasons. This season, it will be the backcourt that will be playing a major role.
Well, I think our strength is going to be the experience in the backcourt. We have really 6 good people. Reggie Boyce gets off the football field. He's going to really help us out a whole lot. Jamal Holt comes from the junior varsity. David Manigault, who's a freshman, who I'm going to probably keep because he's just a little too talented. He has too much promise to sit down, along with Shannon Boone, Roderick Harrison, Bill Wells, and Gerald Singleton. We have 6 or 7 people in the backcourt we can really rotate in. We can put pressure on the defense as far as doing different kinds of things. So I'm looking forward to working with them. It's just the players up front as far as depth that concern me right now.
Basically, the whole starting five can handle the ball and shoot from the outside. We don't really have a real big man, but other than that, everybody can play all positions. Whoever get it and go. Our real strength can be able to run and gun, and spot up for the threes.
The Poets' front line may not be as imposing as in past seasons, but it may be the area's most athletic, with junior Tommy Polly and seniors Marvis Thornton and Robert Foster. Polly, the area's top defensive player in football, is considered to be one of the country's top 50 juniors. Thornton has developed into a major Division I prospect after an impressive summer, including breaking the single-game scoring record at the 5-star camp. Foster, one of the nation's top rising prospects 2 seasons ago, is back after missing all of last season due to heart problems and has been slowed so far by a broken foot this season. Was it frustrating for you last year sitting on the side and watch?
Yeah. That was very frustrating, but I try to fit that behind me, you know. Just go out this year, try and play the best I can play. 110% all the time.
It's been tough adjusting from like off season when we was home doing nothing, probably watching the stories or something. But now come in, you know, work hard and just try to condition yourself for the up-tempo kind of game that we have to play.
Bootsy is a dynamic offensive talent. Scores in spurts, gets the ball off really quick release, will complement Billy as far as the running game is concerned. Again, I look forward to him to score 15 points. I think we can have the potential to have 4 guys score between 13 and 15 points a ball game. Those two along with Foster and Pollard.
While Dunbar is again talented, who will lead him is a question that Smith is a little concerned about.
You know, Rodney came along very, very well in terms of his skills, and toward the end, he was playing exceptional, both on the court and being the total leader in the locker. I'm not sure, again, who the leader is going to be. Whose team is this going to be? You know, when we call a timeout and the kids are talking, who's going to do the finger pointing? Who's going to do the finger pointing downstairs in the locker room?
There isn't any doubt who will be leading the Poets from the bench this year. Smith, who went 25-3 as interim coach last season, is now entrenched as the permanent coach. There were some turbulent and tumultuous times for Smith last season, but that was last season.
Well, last year I was an interim person, and last year was last year. The kids know who I am. I know who they are better, and we're dealing with today and tomorrow, and yesterday is gone. We can't change it.
With all of its losses last season coming in the final seconds, it's conceivable that Dunbar could have won a national title. Despite not being nationally ranked this season, the Poets will again be in the national spotlight, with appearances at the Slam Dunk at the Beach tourney in Delaware during the Christmas holiday, and the Charm City Classic at Loyola College in January. In this great basketball tradition, Dunbar will be again ready for the challenge.
Did you lose a lot of sleep during the offseason, considering that you lost 3 games at the buzzer, and quite conceivably, if those shots don't go in, you guys are national champions?
I didn't lose sleep. I just felt that I had an excellent opportunity to work with, you know, 8, 9, 10 guys who eventually let me play in Division I basketball. All right, 3 guys are playing it now with Elliott at Maryland, Nolan at Virginia, and Mobley, who's a Prop 48, but he'll be playing next year at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. You have Sean Lipscomb, who's averaging 27 points a ball game at Essex. Eric McNeil, who sat on the bench for us, didn't play a lot, but he's up in at Logan Community College. He's playing. That's 5 guys off of last year's team alone. We have 3 seniors and a junior being recruited, you know, on this year's team. So like I said, we have 9 or 10 guys off of last year's team who are Division I potential basketball players. I lost sleep after the season's over in terms of what could have been, but you can't worry about what could have been. We had to deal with the fact that we turned the ball over a little too much during crunch time, and we missed some key foul shots that could have prevented us from having an undefeated season.
From Dunbar High School, I'm Derek Toney for High School Sports Beat.
Okay, Derek, Dunbar is good again, no different from any other year with this basketball program.
Yeah, most definitely. This year, they'll be more guard-oriented. We'll have the big size in the front line like they have in previous years with Noodles Elliott, Keith Booth, Norman Nolan. This year will be the guards, Gerald Singletary, Billy Wells, setting the tempo. The front line's not bad either. You look at Robert Foster, who's coming back after missing his junior year. Then you also have Marvis Thornton. Everybody calls him Bootsy. I like to call him Thunder Thornton because his play over the summer has been unbelievable. He broke the record at 5-star camp for the most points in a game. That's right, most points in a game. And then you also have to look at Tommy Pollard. Football stud. He's equally a stud on the basketball court. Dunbar, again, will be one of the best teams in the city, in the state, in the country. They will roll to the 2A state championship, no problem.
Okay, now let's talk about the City Knights, a football school known for football, gradually making that move to becoming a better basketball program over there. Last year, 10-10, a 500 record for the Knights.
Right, and they did it with a senior-dominated team. Now this year, of course, those seniors are gone, so Wayne Cook have to rebuild this team. No playoffs this year for the Black Knights.
Okay, now let's talk about the top team in Baltimore, also one of the top teams in the country. Charlie Moore has the team and all the experience. Here's a look at Charlie Moore's Lake Clifton Lakers. The Lake Clifton coming out party was anticipated like 12 a.m. New Year's Eve. Why all the hype? Well, you tend to draw that kind of attention when you enter the season number 10 in the country and number 1 in the area. But the Lakers say they can handle the pressure.
Just a number. Doesn't mean anything. These early games are like what we call a barometer. We don't want to get caught up in a number game. We number 10, we number 1. We got to play one game at a time.
A lot of people think this is going to be an easy year for us, but it's up to us to go out and get it done every night. And we don't really have to we don't beat teams by names on paper. We have to go out and play them.
And this year, people going to really expect a lot from us and all, but I think we can handle it.
We're just going to take it day by day. We're going to try to focus on being number 10 and number 1, and we're just going to play as if we was like at the bottom. So that really don't really phase us, really.
This season, the Lakers have the most talented senior class in the state. At point guard, they returned Shante Rogers, who averaged 20 points and 9 assists last season. Over the summer at a basketball camp, he went toe-to-toe with the nation's #1 player, Stephon Marbury from New York, and had ESPN basketball color commentator Dick Vitale singing his praise.
The scary thing about Shante is that he's going to get better. And that's what he's very intelligent. He makes good decisions. He can hit the three. He can create things. He makes the other 4 players around him better. So that's the key.
Brings passing. He's a great guard. Unstoppable in the open court. Almost impossible to get around. I know I'm going to get a lot of dunks because he's going to get a lot of strips.
He does it all. He's a good player. He's our leader on the court. He just does it all.
Well, I bring what I always bring. Passing, shooting, I do it all. Rebound.
Lake Clifton also boasts one of the best inside-outside players in the city with Reggie Frazier. With added bulk on the inside, look for Frazier to explode this season.
Good play. He can bang the outside shot. He can penetrate. Dish. He can jump, shoot. He can do it all too.
He's a tremendous leaper. Just a good jumper. Just a good player. Good rebounder. Just an all-around good player.
Reggie Frazier is the truth. He's probably our most versatile player. He can probably play all 5 positions.
I bring a little leadership, and mainly it's leadership, because we got a lot of young guys this year.
6'1" guard Ronald Byrd is a double threat. He's a slasher, and if you don't play him close, he'll stick the 3-point shot.
Ronald Byrd is a good shooter, and he's a good scorer. He'll always find a way to score, and he can play good D.
He's a shooter. Ronald Byrd, he's one of the best shooters I've played with, besides out of him and Shante. I can't really say who's the best, but Ronald Byrd is a good shooter.
Ronald Byrd, very steady player. He's our leader on and off the court. He's our steady leader. We need him.
I think I'm underrated a lot, but I think this year with our team and all, and us being number 10 in the nation, I think, I'll come out just fine.
The biggest addition to Lake Clifton is 6'7" center Guy Butler. Butler, who is an all-metro transfer from Woodlawn, has heard the whispers that he can't play in the tough city competition.
It's going to be no different. It's the same thing. I'm just going to go to work. Same thing. Y'all seen what I did to Southwestern. Had a bad game against Dunbar, so I said, I know that's what everybody was saying. I couldn't play against city competition, so I come back against Southwestern, hit like 30. So it's the same thing. I just had a bad game against Dunbar. I'm ready to go to work.
He can get the rebound. He's big, strong on the inside. He be explosive to the bucket. So he's a big help for us. Okay. We lost Terrence Payne, so he's a big help.
Guy bringing, strong, big body, rebounding, blocking good shots. That's what we need since Terrence Payne left last year. So he'll be good for us.
He's a rebounder. He's a scorer. He just got the total package, And by him being in the county and all, he proved that when he went up 5-star.
Well, we had a kid in the county by the name of Chuck Moore, who I think did fairly well coming from the county. I think he made All-American Junior College. He went up to Northeast, and he made Most Valuable Player. Now he's playing in the pros. So I don't think it's a county city. I think if you're a player, you're a player.
Coming off the bench is 5'7" guard Jimmy Moore. Moore, who would be a starter on any other team, gives the Lakers a very capable point guard if Shante Rogers gets in foul trouble.
Jimmy Moore, he has a 2-guard mentality, but he's a 1 guard, and that's what we want to emphasize this year. And he can get that job done as a 1 guard because he can get the other 4 people involved, plus he can break down the defense, he can score. So we're working on Jimmy Moore's game. More 1 than 2.
Jimmy, I think he's underrated too, but he's going to bring a lot of scores off the bench. People ain't going to expect him to score, but I think he's going to come along just fine.
Lake Clifton has all the experience and all the talent and the #1 ranking to go along with it. Can they handle the pressure? We'll find out by March. From Lake Clifton, I'm Jefferson Slade, High School Sports Beat. Derek, Lake Clifton is loaded. They have the team. They're definitely the team to beat.
Oh, most definitely. Look at this Laker lineup. Shantae Rogers, Reggie Frazier, Guy Butler, Ronald Byrd, Jimmy B.J. Moore, Henry Hurst. I mean, this team is just so deep and talented. The only thing that can stop them from going undefeated and making a run at the national championship is themselves. And again, last year they had a lot of internal problems. Chemistry counts for a lot. I mean, sometimes it's downplay, sometimes it's overplay, but I think it's very important, chemistry, because like I said, for 32 minutes, for 20 games a year, you got to play your best basketball. And Lake Clifton at times last year didn't do that. They have to do it this year because, like I said, the competition gets even tougher. They're the top dog, and everyone wants to take a bite out of the big dog.
Okay. Derek, a lot of people talk about Southwestern as being the big surprise last year, but really, when it came down to postseason play, the biggest surprise was the Douglas Ducks. They almost pulled out the state championship down at Cole Fieldhouse.
Yeah, they were the Cinderella of probably the whole high school season last year. Out of nowhere, the Douglas Ducks came within 2 points, winning the state championship. This year, they lost a lot of players. They were hurt by the loss of Alfonso Jones, who transferred to St. Francis, but they do have a lot of talent. If you look at Vernon Foster, Lamont Perlman, Michael Miller, that's a very good nucleus. And playing that 2A, 3A league, where again, Dunbar's going to finish first. Let's make no doubt about it. Douglas can finish second, and then qualify for the 3A playoffs, and then with their region, and like I said, a lot of good breaks. They could make it back to Cole Fieldhouse. It's not a joke. They could make it back.
Okay, now let's talk about a player that would have made the Douglas Ducks a lot better team this year if he would have stayed with the Douglas program, and that's Alfonso Jones, who transferred back to his former school, St. Francis. They're a real good team with a player like Mark Cratcher, who's one of the best in the country as a sophomore.
Most definitely. I mean, they're hands down a favorite in the Catholic League. Look at Alfonso Jones, scored with Mark Cratcher, one of the best freshmen in the country last year. Keon Chavez. They also have a very good-looking sophomore by the name of Charles Buford. This team has all the ingredients of being a very dominant team in the Catholic League for the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, now let's talk about some of the best players in the area. A lot of people felt like that Baltimore, the talent pool shrunk a little with the graduation of all the superstars from last year, but believe me, Baltimore is still loaded with basketball talent. Walbrook has one of the area's toughest inside players in Trayvon Broadway. The 6'3" senior averaged 15 points and 7 rebounds last season. Broadway is tough to guard. Last season, Southern's John Hemsley was overshadowed by the abundance of talent on the Southern team. But this year, the 6'5" junior has emerged as one of the premier players in the city. Southwestern's Ernie Evans is the city's most versatile player. At 6'6", Evans is the area's best three-point shooter. The kid can straight up stick the tray. The Sabres also have one of the area's most hard-nosed players. At 6'2", night in and night out, Stanley Parker plays like he's 6'8". The Dunbar Poets probably have the most talented front court players in the city, with Tommy Polly, Marvis Thornton, and Robert Foster. Polly, who was the high school sports beat defensive player of the year in football, is arguably the state's top front court player. His teammate Marvis Thornton has quickly emerged as one of the area's superstars. At 6'5", he has a nose for the ball and a knack for getting to the basket. Lake Clifton may have the area's strongest front court player in 6'7" Guy Butler. Butler, who is a transfer from Woodlawn High School, is proving his critics wrong. He's dominating against city competition. Reggie Frazier gives the Lakers balance in the front court. At 6'4", he's a force inside, but he can also stick the three. An abundance of talent at the guard position is just not there this year, but there are still some great ones. At 5'7", Walbrook's Marvin Matthews has worked hard to become the starting point guard for one of the area's most elite programs. Matthews has developed a shot to go along with his smooth ball handling. The Warriors have another outstanding guard in Anton Jennifer. At 5'9", he is one of the area's best three-point shooters. In-your-face defense against him is a must. The Southwestern Sabres have the premier point guard in Baltimore. As a junior, Reginald Johnson has already established a knack for breaking down defenses and finding lanes to the basket. And he doesn't mind breaking off a piece. He averaged 5 assists last season. Dunbar has one of the best 1-2 backcourt combinations in the nation with Billy Wells and Gerald Singletary. Wells emerged last season as one of the best outside shooters. Gerald Singletary kept the Poets in many games last season with his slashing drives to the basket. Lake Clifton's Ronald Byrd is a double threat. At 6'1", he's tough to guard. But who's the man? Who's the best in Baltimore? It has to be Lake Clifton's 5'4" point guard, Shantae Rogers. He is a creator, a penetrator, and a three-point shooting machine. He averaged 20 points last season, and he doesn't mind breaking off a piece. He averaged 9 assists. And there's your look at the absolute best in Baltimore in 1994-95.
To help them?
Well, Mel Washington definitely is, from the last few years, have definitely lost a lot of players for academic reasons, transfers. Again, that 2A, 3A league, if you can look at it, you see Dunbar being the dominant team. As far as second place is an open race. You know, you see Douglas, you see Poly. Northwestern could make a move. You see Norv and a lot of teams. Northwestern could make some noise. It depends how they handle it in their first 2 league games. Will really tell a lot how far this team can go.
Okay, real quick, Derek. Patterson, 5-13 last season.
Yeah, they were hurt. They lost 2 players of importance to them. Henry Hurst, a 6'5" center who transferred to Lake Clifton, and Colin Jones, who withdrew from Patterson. They were really the nucleus of that team. They have a lot of talented players, guys like Todd Poole and also some other contributors. 500 would be a very good year for them. If they still had those players, Hurst and Jones, I think they could be a serious dark horse in the 4A. But again, 500 record could get them in the state playoffs.
Okay, now let's talk about Walbrook. Last year they struggled with a 10-11 record. This year, Coach Gus Harrington's Warriors hope they're able to improve.
For many years, the Walbrook basketball program has been right there with the Dunbars, Lake Cliftons, Southerns, and Southwesterns. But last season, Coach Gus Harrington's Warriors found themselves getting KO'd by all the heavyweights. While Walbrook tries to scrape themselves off the canvas, they hope 94-95 is a payback season.
Well, you know, I don't take it personal. You know, it's a game, and I always say that turns go around. You know, last year was Southern's year. Hopefully this year will be our year.
Payback, most definitely. So, I mean, last year, every team we played that beat us, I can say outside, it's mostly every team. It's like, as far as Dunbar, they had a lot of big men. Southern, they had a lot of people that can jump real high and big men. And it was like I was the lone big man. I had a forward, but, you know, he got in foul trouble a lot. So now that I got other players like Dante Webb, Richard Harris, and, you know, I got other forwards that can play the game like Frank, I think